Good afternoon, my friends. Brian here with VetteSource. Hope everybody's having a great 4th of July weekend. If you're here in America for Independence Day, if not, hopefully you're having a good weekend regardless of where you're at. Today's Saturday, my normal day for doing a video, but today what I figured was I'd do a little fun. I do love working on my cars, but I realized today was my day, my bi-weekly maintenance day for going out and driving this car to keep it seals lubricated and stuff like that. So today what I figured I'd let you guys do with me is we'll take a little ride along in this yellow Corvette here that stands out quite a bit. Let me give you a little history though, a little background for those of you that are unfamiliar with these. This is a 1996 Competition Yellow LT4 6-speed Corvette. Now, if you not familiar with Corvettes, this was a 1-year only engine that they put in the Corvettes in 1996 after they'd retired the ZR1s, and this was their answer to go out with a bang for the C4s. So this is a factory rated 330 horsepower, about 370, 380 foot-pounds of torque, which is kind of laughable because it's quite powerful for the year. They only made about 5,000 LT4 cars in total, and of those 5,000 and such odd LT4 cars they made, exactly 144 of them were Competition Yellow. And of those 144, 103 were coupes, and the rest were convertibles. Now this is what we talk about with that LT4 engine. This is basically just a factory hot rod LT1. I won't go into exact specifics here, but it's got higher compression, different heads, different intake, different cam. It's pretty much a beast. Like I said, it's kind of laughably rated at a lower horsepower. This particular car has probably the best story out of all the Corvettes I've been involved with over my years of doing this. This car probably has a better story than any of them. I'll save that for another video. Today we're just I'm gonna strap the camera in it and we'll go take a little ride. Not too far. I'll probably take you guys down close to where NASA's at, because we're close to there, and show you a few little sights, nothing big. But the one thing about this car, you may be looking and noticing, you know, a lot of Corvettes are not bought as daily drivers. This car was no exception. When it left the dealership, it was used for exactly 2.5 years. I think until May of 1998, where it racked up, I want to say 15,000 miles. And then it was pretty much semi-retired at that point to where we are today with just over a shade over 23,000 miles, 23,019 miles to be exact. Now, this car is about as close as you can get to a semi-driven 1996 Corvette that still is in pretty much new condition. Now, obviously, this was a December 95 built car. I think December 4th, if I'm remembering correctly. And yeah, December 4th after lunchtime. So anyway, it came off the line at the end or beginning of December. Was one of the last 60 Competition Yellow cars built for the year, because when they ran out of paint, they just quit painting them Competition Yellow. So it has pretty much remained in stasis for many years. What I do now kind of is take it out, drive it a few weeks to make sure it's lubricated and not neglected in the garage, and just go have a little bit of fun with it. It's not something I take to the grocery store for sure. So let me get set up with the camera, and we're gonna go take a little drive in this thing, and I'll show you guys kind of what this 96 is made of and what they're actually capable of. Now, I will say that it's obviously not going to be as fast as a new Corvette, but these are quite respectable. So give me a second to get set up and I'll be right back with you guys. Hang tight. All right, guys, we're at our Freeway juncture. We're going to take the Corvette LT4, get her up on the freeway here real quick. And I will just stress for you, this car is dead stock, no performance adders whatsoever, enhancements. And there's 100 experienced it firsthand because it actually smells like 1996 in here. The glues that they use to put these cars together with, everything is still intact. And like I said, this car was driven by a person who probably never took it over 75, 80 miles an hour while they had it. So it's definitely been babied the whole time, and I don't really get crazy with it. As my camera shifts there. I'll try this at home, kids. There we go. But anyway, this is a very drivable car. Now, one thing people don't realize, you know, C4s for some odd reason are like the Rodney Dangerfield of Corvettes. They really get no respect for the cars that they are. C4s were the first generation that was a unibody construction, but it still has a lot of the vestiges of the old style build in it, you know, as far as nuts and bolts and fasteners and gluing techniques. So it's really a very well built car. And by the time they got to 95 and 96, they had refined it. They had 14 years to refine the build of these cars. So these were dead solid, rock solid on the road. So my point in bringing this up is if you're considering buying a Corvette, you know, you guys have seen me or that watch me, I'm an equal opportunity Corvette lover. I've been involved with every single generation of Corvettes. I've driven all of them. But this would be the car that I would throw money at. If I had never had a Corvette before, you pick a 95 or a 96. Or if you can find an LT4 car, that's even better, because, you know, while the cost on a Corvette is a relative thing, right? But these cars, in and of themselves, are not so terribly overpriced that they'll bankrupt you looking for, you know, electronic brake control module like you do on a C5, or some of the exotic parts you'll get to on heads-up display units, some of these things. And I will say, of course, this is subjective to everybody, but this generation of Corvette is probably the last great generation of road car. Now, what I mean by road car is that by 97 and up, they started to become more homogenized with the build characteristics. They were drawing a lot from other corporate things they used in their builds, so they weren't exactly individualistic. They were to a certain extent, and if you've seen some other videos on these, like especially the frame on a C5, they're very well built, don't get me wrong, the underside. But these cars feel like an incredibly overpowered go-kart, if I can give you any way to give you an impression of what it's like in one of these. Now, with this kind of power in this car and as tight as they are, you feel the road. You feel every single bump. If you got a low tire, if you got a tire that's got low tire air pressure in it, you're gonna feel it. It's gonna want to drag in that direction. It's gonna let you know something's not right. So, and I use this term loosely. If you're a driver's driver and you like the road, right? I'm a guy, I like the open road. I like to drive, right? That is exactly what I do all the time, and that's what I have fun with, right? So if you're a driver's driver and you like to go out and cruise, this is the car to cruise in, because I guarantee you, not only will it command respect of you, but you will need to respect the automobile as well, because it will get away from you in a heartbeat. It's got a lot of power for even being a sub 400 horsepower car. You know, and don't ever underestimate these cars too. You know, a lot of guys will get out in the rain and want to drive these and have fun with them, and they really end up hurting themselves in the car because they're not really familiar with what they're doing. So I'm not going super fast in this. I'm just kind of cruising at this point, but I'm taking a back way here. To my right, this direction is actually Ellington Field. If you guys have ever been in this area, this is Ellington Airport. It used to be Ellington Air Force Base. Over here, what you see, this water tower and stuff, that's actually one of Houston's southeast water purification plant, the city of Houston. You can see how well protected they are. They're not open to the public by any stretch of the imagination, so they're well guarded. This is just a back road here. We're going towards the Clear Lake area. But, you know, even in a short distance of anywhere you live in the city of Houston, you can find good driving roads. And with the current craziness going on right now, pretty much all you're going to do is go out and drive, because you're not going to want to stop anywhere and you have to hang around with a bunch of people. So, what we're going to do is we're going to head back up this way. Down this road a little bit is a very interesting feature of NASA that a lot of people don't even know is out here. But there's a building we're going to come up to here where the astronauts do training on how to build the International Space Station. And this building houses the largest swimming pool in the world. It's actually called the Neutral Buoyancy Lab, yeah. And it's a very nondescript type government building. And inside of it is a swimming pool that, I kid you not, is 35 feet deep. And I forget how long it is. I want to say it's a football field long and 35 feet deep, but it is ridiculous how big this thing is. And inside that swimming pool is a replica of the space station and the modules. So what the astronauts do is they come out here and they train in this thing, and they go underwater in their suits, in their space suits, and they build sections of the modules so they can learn how to do maintenance on the space station while they're out in space. And it's sitting on the backside of Ellington Field. Now, if you're not from here, you won't be familiar. To the right, that's all Ellington Field over there. And everything left going west, actually going east now. This is west, this side. But going towards the east, because we're heading south, that's all NASA. That's all Johnson Space Center. All this property belongs to the government. So there's a few things that are out here still that they've privatized, but the majority of this land is government owned out here. And see, like you can see here, they've got some land for sale. Probably pretty pricey. They built a subdivision over there. But there's a lot of things mixed in around NASA, but there's a lot of this that's government-owned property that will never have anything built on it, as far as the government knows. And you can just see the building right up here in front of me. What looks like just an office building houses that giant swimming pool. So, no, I take that back. Wait a minute. That is the office structure for the people that are working in it. And then this building to the right, this huge warehouse-looking structure, that's where the swimming pool is installed. And the amount of concrete they had to pour to keep the water contained was just amazing. You can see there the Sonny Carter training facility. So it is truly an amazing type facility. And I don't remember if they give public tours or not, but if they do, when you're in town, look it up. It's really cool. Now to the right over here, this is all Ellington Field right here. So there's a control tower for Ellington Field. The runway's right there. So like I said, all this is just, of course, the signs for the Houston Spaceport. So all this is just opening up for future development for the spaceport, which are actually doing some of this stuff. And the funny thing is, right over there along that fence line, that's where they were keeping, after the last flight of the 747 that took the last shuttle out of here over to California, they parked that 747 right over there back off the runway, and they dismantled it right there. And then they trucked it up Highway 3 in sections over to NASA to Space Center Houston. So that's where that one is sitting right now. But it was really cool to see them take it up the road in barges, the 747 in pieces, to take it down the road. So there we're back now into where they've privatized. This is all Clear Lake area here. And what we're going to do is we're going to come back out this way, get our light up here. We're going to hook back out to the west and find our way back out to Highway 3 and make a loop here. So, you know, this is all fairly residential area here. Pretty nice in this area. A lot of the professional community lives here from NASA. It's always been, basically since the 60s at least, a bedroom community of NASA, right? So your employees are all living out here. But you can see even while I've been driving the car here, I always love the sound of that 6-speed gearbox, man. Now the transmissions in Corvettes too, these are not the 6-speeds. These are not T56s or Tramex or any of this. This transmission is particular to Corvettes in the C4 era from 89 to 96. It's called a ZF. I can't even pronounce the word. It's a German-built company that builds normally transmissions for dump trucks. I kid you not. So when the ZR1 came out, it was such a great torque output. The motor was putting out so much power that they wanted to make sure they had a stout enough transmission to stand up behind it. So that's why you can hear this rolling through the gears. This is a very tight transmission with extremely tight tolerances. It is not something that's even easy to rebuild. In fact, the tolerances are so tight on it that it uses, rather than typical gear oil, I think as a way to cool it down a little bit better, it uses regular motor oil, no kidding. So, it's a neat transmission, but it's not a transmission that's easily adaptable to other types of cars. You can't just go throw that in your Chevelle or something. That requires a bit of customization because the case is a little bit longer, but man, it is a wicked bulletproof transmission. So right now what we're doing is we're coming back up onto Highway 3 and we're going to head our way back in towards, actually what we'll do is we're going to pass now on the front side of Ellington, which is just to the west of Ellington. So we're going to come over here. And interesting trivia, this Highway 3 was the only way to get to Galveston from Houston back in the day. Alright, there's 70 right there, guys. I'm not going to go any faster than that. Forgot I had my ASR control on. The 96s have a fairly sophisticated anti-slip regulation system. Not sophisticated by today's standards, but back then what it would do is it actually had a, not a module, it had a servo basically, a drag linked servo that had bell cranks like you would see on an aircraft. It was developed by Bosch. Bosch makes a lot of aircraft stuff too. And what it did was the throttle cable doesn't go directly to the motor, it goes to the servo. And what it'll do is if it detects, if the anti-lock braking system detects that the tires are slipping, it will actually retard those bell cranks. It'll activate a motor, a stepper motor inside that servo and actually pull back, push back against a gas pedal on you to tell you, hey, stupid, you're about to crash the car. So it's kind of a neat system, but you do have the capability of turning it off. Now, to the right here, that was all Ellington's property right there. And these are the old warehouses from World War II that have been here forever. Ellington actually was commissioned as a World War I biplane fighter squadron in 1917. So this base is 103 years old. Most of it's been turned over to the city of Houston, but there is still a military part of the base. It's called the Joint Reserve Base. And a lot of the, in fact, all the services operate out of the back side of the base over there. So what you'll see at Ellington, in addition to the Wings Over Houston Air Show that comes here every year, is there are quite a few military jets that come through here. This is a through transit part for a lot of them. So they will come through here. They'll stop off at Ellington, refuel, you know, B-52s, bombers, you know, all kinds of stuff coming from Barksdale or other places. And they'll come through. That was the Coast Guard station we just passed right there. So yeah, it's a pretty neat area. And like I said, this is just bringing us back up to the Beltway where we were before. And of course, now cruising in 6, you can see this car is loafing along at 61 miles an hour and 1500 RPM. The 6th gear on the transmission in this car is a direct 1-to-1 ratio. So it's extremely, 6th gear you never hardly use unless you're just at highway speed. Like right now, I can floor it, and I've got it floored, and that's how fast it's accelerating. So it's really not fast at all. But it is a beautiful day for driving. It was really hot today, like 97. You know, we're in the time zone now of hot, humid, and horrific here in Houston. But it was fun. Short little jaunt. So yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, lots of good roads to drive on here. Like I said earlier, I really do like driving, so this is one of those things I enjoy. glad you guys can come with me, because I don't take this car out. This is one of those cars that, you know, you're kind of stuck. What do I do with it? You know, I'm definitely not going to use it as a grocery getter, and I'm not going to use it to go drive through traffic in downtown Houston either. But I think that's probably going to wrap it up for us today on this cruise, and I'll be back again. Our cylinder head is ready for installation on the Formula 350 car, so we'll have that put back on there next week. We'll get closer to putting that back together again. There's a couple of twisties here we'll go through. Nothing I'm going through real fast, because the tires, even though they're brand new on this car, are really, really old. Thanks again, guys, for watching. We'll be back next week. We'll see you then, okay? Take care.